It is, unfortunately, another somber day as we reflect on the tragedy in Uvalde, Texas. We're beginning to hear more from the parents and survivors of the mass shooting at an elementary school where, I can't even say this out loud, 19 children and 2 teachers were murdered. One of the parents to arrive on the scene was a trained medic. Here's what he told Anderson Cooper about what happened when he arrived.
Yes, I got confirmation from 2 of the students in her classroom that she was just trying to call authorities. And I guess he just shot her. How do you look at this girl and shoot her?
We're also hearing from a 4th grader who took cover with some of his friends when the gunman stormed into his classroom. His face is not being shown. Take a look.
He came in and he crouched a little bit and he said it's time to die. When he shot, it was very loud and it hurt my ear. When I saw the bullets on the floor, it was real. I told my friend to hide under something so he won't find us. I was hiding hard and I was telling my friend to not talk because he's gonna hear us. One of the persons in my class said help. The guy overheard and he came in and shot her.
Could be any one of our children at this point.
I mean, Sam, it's statistically, it will be, you know? I mean, I've been saying for years that the walls, I mean, how many mass shootings just here in Colorado? And if you just want to go just Texas, do we have time to go state by state? I don't think we do. It's amazing that we as a country didn't realize that not doing anything about guns is also a response. You know, when you see somebody and their kid is out of control at the grocery store and you go, well, how did this happen? And then you see them parent for a few minutes. You're like, oh, you don't do anything when there needs to be some boundaries placed. And this explains what I saw. And I hope the rest of the world is looking at us saying, oh, they didn't do anything. Australia did. They had a mass shooting. They took the guns away. No more.
Scotland did.
Scotland did.
The UK
no more did. And so here we are. I mean, not doing anything as a response, Jeff. So I don't know if we can sit here and wring our hands because we did nothing and we knew that nothing would lead to more of this. So, like, let's settle in. If you want to let your uncle yell at you and yell you down on Facebook and at the table about guns are so important, then we also have to sit in this as well. I mean, we cannot let ourselves out of this.
What? Agreed.
I'm sorry.
No, I want to know, because I was watching you when you were hearing that little boy talk and when you heard the father talk, and I saw you start to shift. What are you thinking?
Well, the ripple effect that this causes, right? I just got a notification right before we started on my phone. This is from TMZ. Husband of teacher killed in Texas elementary school shooting, dies of a heart attack, right? We're not going to talk about that at all today because there's too many other tragedies to talk about. 19 families, 21 families, I'm sorry, 21 families.
And
the
maybe
ripple
the
effect.
grandmother.
And everyone in that classroom, everyone in that school, everyone in that community, the ripple effect does not stop. And to Al's point, not only did we not do anything, we didn't even put a cone up. We didn't even put a warning orange cone to say, let's do something just to deter some crazy, sick, fill in the blank,
right?
To just to throw him off his track a little bit, and let's see if they have the determination to keep going. We don't even put cones out for these people, let alone brick walls for them to not be able to get these weapons of mass destruction. And that's what they are. This is mass destruction. Okay, I went off on a different show about our Republicans and Democrats, and I stick to my guns, no pun intended, about this and that, and I'm not going to go outside my political party. Then what do you want to do here, okay? I want you to have your guns. I want to protect my family too. At what cost? At what cost? I was driving home yesterday and I thought, you know that feeling when you're in the grocery store and your kid disappears for a half a second and your stomach sinks? And all of a sudden you turn around and there he is, thank God, playing with some toy. But that feeling for a half a second. What are these parents thinking when they're getting a DNA test, standing outside the school, that not only are they not going to see their child again, that they're so unrecognizable that they're not going to see them again? Think about that when you're thinking about your rights and protecting your weapons of mass destruction. Think about that. Think about what those parents feel like, just for a split second.
And speaking of what the parents were feeling, Eric, I want you to comment on this because a lot of the parents are coming forward saying that they were outside of the school while the shooting was taking place, right? Hearing their children scream. So today, to that point, the police are facing very tough questions about why it took so long for them to storm the school and stop the shooter, who had barricaded himself in a classroom. Now, officials say it took between 40 minutes and an hour before a tactical team took him down, but even that timing is now being questioned. This video has gone viral, showing parents begging first responders to let them enter the school and get to their kids, who they heard screaming inside the building. One person was even pinned down on the ground. You can hear them asking officials why they're not going inside. In addition to all of that, there are reports that police did enter the building to get their own kids. Take a look.
So what we do know, Vanessa, right now that there was some police officers, families trying to get their children out of the school because it was an active shooter situation right now. It's a terrible situation right now. And of course, just as we mentioned, the loss of life, it's just terrible. It's a terrible tragedy when that took place.
Erica, what are you thinking?
Is this the end?
I hope.
Like,
No.
no, I mean, is this the end of civilization as we know it? Because that's how it feels. Yesterday, I had to do all of these things because I realized that I have had an inability to truly emote in a way that feels natural to me. It's a very numbing feeling. And I realize that when I do that, it's actually just taking the trauma and pushing it deep, deep inside, which means that it's going to manifest in other ways. And I think we should all check ourselves for those types of reactions, especially if it's not normal to who we are. I watched and I shared with you a clip from our friend Buffy Purcell, who's a friend of the show, and her brand is about finances, but she has a background in insurance. And what she proposed, and she said she's very solution-based, was everyone says, what are we going to do? And then they throw their hands up and then we wait for the next thing to happen. But what she was saying was, what if every person of color, indigenous person, poor white person, every child born gets life insurance, because the insurance companies never lose. And if they start losing and having to pay out all of these policies, then they will in turn go after the NRA, which will force our government to do something. Now, that also means that obviously more lives will have to be lost, but that's inevitable, as we've all just apparently come to terms with. So what is the solution? Because at this point, by pointing fingers and saying who's at fault, it's like, actually, we all are. It's just to what degree?